What is up, everyone? Welcome back. I'm Mike, your low-key BBRser, and today I want to go over my experience of the last year to year and a half where I fully embraced the gas blowback world. I.e., I haven't really touched an AEG in about that. I can't completely say, oh, I haven't touched an AEG because I have run my Mark 48 a few times, which is the electric saw, and then just grabbed the rifle here and there and had some fun for like a round or two at a game. So I haven't, I can't say like I haven't touched an AEG in a year. But far as my primary source of like when I get ready to go to a game or anything, I've always brought a gas blowback with me and used it for the majority of that game. So fully embracing it. I just kind of want to go over lessons learned. And did I like it? Yes, very much. But not so much of did I like it, but hey, lessons learned. And this is generally speaking, not like, oh, the VFC does better or the TM sucks or whatever. Just kind of a general idea of switching from running just, primarily as getting ready for a game where you charge your batteries, get ready for your AEG, versus kind of swapping everything over and getting ready to kind of be gas gun centric and everything I had to do to adapt and change my playing style to running just gas blowbacks. So that's today's video. Not too crazy, but I hope you enjoy it. Let's get to it. First off, if anyone's seen my other videos and everything, I absolutely love running a gas blowback rifle now. I kind of got it on a whim. I got this one right here, my TM MWS, and based off the URGI. I had played with the friends, and I was like, that seems kind of cool. Had a little bit of money, and ended up getting one for myself. And I just fell in love with it. Like, the feeling of it, the feeling of the recoil, having the limited ammo capacity, it kind of like reawakened something in me as far as a love of airsoft. It's almost like playing Halo on Legendary. Like, okay, cool, I've played that campaign a bunch of times, but you change that difficulty or you bring a different aspect to it, and the game is completely fun again. That's what happened to me in airsoft. Like, there's so many AEGs out there, and especially now with MOSFETs and 12-to-1 gears and everything, it's insane the rate of fire that you can put out with these things. It's like not even fair. So dialing that back down and going back to your root of having a mechanical trigger that operates a piston and you're limited by how fast that cycles, it's like it's limiting yourself, but it's limiting yourself in a fun way. So you don't have to basically just spew BBs everywhere and have unlimited ammo. You have a very limited ammo. So that's what kind of like why I decided to do this and say, hey, I'm going to try and swear off AEGs for a year and just run gas blowbacks. And then that snowballed into now I have so many different variants. I've got hogs, I got these, I got old ones, and now I pretty much rarely even touch AEGs. But it started out as kind of like, let me see if I can do it, to now I just fully embrace it and absolutely love this. So, all right, getting into lessons learned and a few things that I've noticed that have been like, wow, okay, that's an eye-opener. I really needed to like change my playing style and everything. And number one that everyone notices and has to embrace is your limited ammo capacity. Absolutely. You're limited to 30 to 35 BBs per magazine. So your entire combat load, I recommend like this standard issue of 6+1, 7+1. I'm usually around 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7. That's usually my count for like an open play game or just a weekend game is about 7. That's a good amount where I can burn through most of that without having, if I don't have a chance to reload, that will still keep me like and from going completely Winchester on ammo. But adapting your playing style, especially coming from having a very good AEG with that MOSFET 12-to-1 gears where I can empty a mid cap, not on binary, just on semi, I can empty a mid cap in 15 seconds, to being like, all right, I only got 30 rounds before I got a reload, and then my whole combat load is 210 to 240 rounds. That's a sizable difference. That is one mid cap is my entire combat load now. So picking your shots and not so much of using just the BBs as tracers. In my other video, if you guys have seen it, if not, I'm just going to go over real quick, is zeroing your optic meticulously, getting a very good zero so you know when you put that dot on the target, that BB is getting really close to it. That's why I really like the EOTech, because it has that kind of wider reticle, because BBs, they're not match accurate, right? We're not getting sub MOA out of a BB. We're getting like giant MOA, mini MOA. But zeroing your optic and then picking your shots, not being like, all right, cool, I can put about like 15 rounds into this doorway, you know, hey, you might use 5 or something like that. So being aware of how much you're shooting and everything, as well as another key thing that I learned is, if even in an engagement, if you have a chance for a buddy to take a position and you get a little lull, start refilling your magazines. Get your speed loader out, you know, and then start reloading your magazines at any possible time that there's a lull. Even if it's only you can get a couple squeezes, then all right, put it back, get back in the fight. It just lets you top off those magazines, so that way you're always at least have a little bit of ammo in there that lets you continue fighting against people that have, again, one magazine matches your entire combat load. So that was, I think, the biggest thing for me that was like, all right, I got to change my playing style, because I went out and played one round and I went Winchester on ammo in the first like 5 minutes and was like, oh shit, like I'm out of ammo, and the game just started. So I had to really wind down the amount that I spammed ammo, and then that's when I learned, like, really zero your optics, so you know when you're coming down and you drive out and that dot's on target and you execute a shot, you're like, all right, that round is going very close to where that dot is. So then you're not using 5, 8, 10 rounds to kind of like, you know, spam the trigger and watch your rounds impact. Kentucky windage, for lack of a better term, you're not doing that. You're using your sights and you're being like, all right, first round kill versus 5th, 10th, 15th round kill. You can kind of understand what I'm saying right there on that one? Kind of makes sense, right? But that was the biggest thing for me to like get used to, was like, all right, I it's not the amount of ammo, it's like the amount that you had to reload, and 210 rounds in airsoft goes really, really fast, especially when you're used to AEGs. It just does. So biggest thing to kind of get used to is that limited ammo capacity and truly understanding what that means. So, but there's ways to adapt to it. Adjust your firing, adjust your shooting style, and then at any possible time, break out that speed loader and just keep topping off mags. A lot of guys I've seen that kind of start in gas blowbacks, they feel they need to carry like 20 magazines on them or something like that. Number one, it's way too heavy. And number two, you don't need that many. Just top them off when you can and everything, and that'll keep you in the fight, absolutely. Again, I probably, besides for those first few games when I was learning how to adapt my playing style, I've never really went completely Winchester on ammo. I've always been able to find a period where I can throw some rounds in, top off a mag or two, put 30, 60 rounds together, so that way I can keep fighting. Especially if it's an open play when, you're hit or anything and there's no rule against it, that's a perfect time to start topping off rounds. You're walking back to respawn or you're waiting a respawn time, absolutely, top off all your mags. You got all the time in the world. Understanding the how the environment affects the guns way more than AEGs. We know that AEGs with the cold, your battery gets cold, your hop up shrinks a little bit, but the temperature affects these gas guns way more than it does AEGs. Meaning that because these run off expansion, gas expansion, going from a liquid to a gaseous state, the colder it gets, the slower that reaction is. Meaning you're going to get less FPS, less cycling rate, and then to the point of where they sometimes don't work. All right, so learning that, watching videos, and understanding what the different gases were took a little bit of time. Excuse me. That took me a little bit of time and just experimentation. Luckily, there's a lot of info out there. And then again, I can make more videos and discuss it. But understanding when to use those different gases, whether it's propane, MAP, if you're using the color gas, so the green gas, the red gas, black gas, whatever pressures those are at. Understanding when to use those in relation to the temperature is kind of best done with experimentation. And it took me a while to kind of understand that. And either I was running too hot because I was running a red gas when it was a little too warm, or trying to run green gas when it just, you feel the bolt being really sluggish and your FPS drops off, you're at like 200 and it's not being an effective BB gun. So then you need to switch, either running from propane to MAP, your polyethylene gas, or jumping from green gas to red gas if you're using a silicone enhanced gas, depending. And each gun is different too. My TMs operate very good at green gas at a lower temperature than my VFC. My VFC, I need to swap over to a higher pressure red or MAP gas at a much higher temperature just because of the way the internal mechanism is. So again, things you're going to have to learn about it, and I urge you to experiment with the best you can. But I found that like when that temp drops below like 60, I bring different gases with me just to try out and just to have. Like I'll always have the can of propane as well as MAP, or if it's that temperature, bring your green gas, but also maybe pack a can of red gas, because if you notice that, hey, if it starts, your performance starts dying off, you've got that gas. You know, purge the magazine, don't mix them. I found that out. You can't mix them. It doesn't like give you like half performance. It just doesn't work great. So if you have like propane, purge your magazine, and hit your little register on the back of it, and then, you know, we've all done that. Purge your magazine and then top it off with whatever gas you're going to. So yeah, temperature really affects these, as well as the hop up. Because your FPS kind of ranges with that, I found that you need to tweak and adjust the hop up much more in gas guns than I do AEGs. So I'm always like, it's within the same, like, these have a tactile like little click inside of it, as well as the this I have a 4 UAD hop up into it. I'm within the same like 3 or 4 parameters, like the detents, but as you know, it gets colder, the FPS drops a little bit, you might have to add a little bit of hop because it needs a little bit more hop to stay floating. Whereas at a high FPS, it need a little bit less. Then you can drop that, you're over hopping. So I have found that with gas guns, I do need to adjust the hop up more often than AEG. So be prepared for that. Get the question a lot, and there's a bunch of videos onto it and everything like that. Gas guns in the winter, right? We're in the depths of the winter in New England right now. It is January 13th, and I think right now it's like 28 degrees out. I went and played a couple weekends ago, and it was anywhere between 18 degrees Fahrenheit and 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And let me tell you, my gas gun did not like it. I could still run it. I was able to like put mags in pockets, and like I would take anywhere between 5 and 10 shots, and then if I had a chance, I'd swap out mags. So I made it work, but it wasn't the most effective thing. I know there's probably more I can research and try. I was using the Neutral 3.0, 4.0, the black, the Neutral gas, and it's still just, after the magazine got cooled down a little bit like that, it just wouldn't cycle. And I was getting maybe 100 FPS, and that's even if it would cycle. So, but I found that keeping mags in my pockets warmed them up enough that it was able to use, but at a very reduced performance level. So I think that magical threshold for me is around 30 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees C. That below that, I might need to actually do internal modifications, because I don't have a winter gun. I don't have a winterized gas gun where you know, lower spring or lower tension springs, lighter bolts, lighter buffer spring. I don't have anything like that. These are all pretty much stock TMs or VFCs as far as the bolt and the buffer spring and the buffer weight. So I haven't gone in and adjusted any of that. So that's another thing that I'm going to research a little bit more and experiment with, maybe making like a winter lower or something. But we'll say in stock form, when I got to that 20 degrees out, it didn't like it. And that was multiple friends of mine have MWSs and gas guns, and they were kind of like, yeah, it might be a little too cold. So if you are in those climates and everything like that, looking to do gas blowbacks, it might not be the greatest thing to start off with. Wait until summer, because they're so much fun in the summer. But in the winter, they take a little more adjusting and kind of getting used to it and figuring out parts that might work for that. All right. As far as reliability, I have found that the gas guns are extremely more reliable than AEGs. Far as like stripping pistons and gears and motor heights and just generally AEGs, they break like they do. I have had a couple failures. I had a trigger failure at Milsom West in my first MWS right here, and that was due to I think my own fault. Is I put way too much lube on it. And I was using silicone-based lube, and it was raining the entire time at that Milsom West, and I think it just congealed together, and it kind of locked up the trigger. I was able to do a workaround on it where I could shoot in auto, but I couldn't shoot in semi. It just, something in the trigger wasn't resetting. But I think that might have been contributed to my own fault that I over-lubed it. But that's kind of the major failure I have had. I had on another one of these, a DE, I broke the feed mechanism onto it, but I think that was my own fault because it wasn't feeding right, and I went back into primacy of real guns and I smashed the forward assist. Probably not the best thing to do with plastic internals, but I started mashing the forward assist, trying to get it to drive home. and I broke the nozzle. But that was, again, I think maybe more my own fault. So the reliability of these, I think, is definitely way better than AEGs. However, these do require more preventative maintenance, meaning you need to take care of them more than AEG. AEGs, you take the battery out and maybe clean your barrel once a year. These you need to clean after every game. You treat them like a real rifle. Like you're actually, you'll notice that with the propane and everything, how much dirtier these get. And you're using lubrication and everything because these all have moving pieces. The bolt slides back and forth. So they need to have lubrication on it, which attracts dirt and mud and grime and pollen, whatever. You'd be amazed how much gunk gets inside of these. You need to clean these after every game. Otherwise, you're going to run into more problems. You're going to run into trouble. The bolt's going to lock up on you. It's going to seize. It's going to get grimy. It's not going to cycle right. So it does require more preventive maintenance, meaning you have to take care of them a little more. But if you do that, you get more longevity out of it before there's a major break or anything wrong with them. Have found they go through hop-up rubbers a little faster than AEGs. Generally with AEGs, you can get multiple seasons out of a hop-up rubber. I have found that most of these, I feel the need that I need to put new hop-up rubber in them basically every season. So just another little tidbit. So maybe, again, I put that under the preventative maintenance aspect of it, but some people might see that as a failure. But it's another one of those things. It is a niche gun, but they require a little bit more tweaking and finesse. But overall, these haven't let me down on a field like stripping a piston or stripping a gear, or your motor height backs off or something like that. The typical failures of an AEG, feeding issues, tappet plates, all that. You don't have any of that. It's mechanical. Ugh, because vibes. But overall, I am seeing, and I don't know if you guys agree with me, I am seeing this surge of people getting into gas blowbacks. And quite often I see, it may be more of a little bit of a novelty, but open games or local fields and everything, generally I'm seeing a lot more gas blowbacks. I used to be the only one. Maybe like one or two other people that consistently used it or used it all day. They'd use it for one round of a quick scenario game for a half hour, and then they'd go back to an AEG or something like that. But I'm seeing this surge of people getting into gas blowback rifles, and it seems like it's I don't know if fad is the right word, but it's catching on, and people are starting to realize that the performance is there, maybe with a little tweaking and understanding the principles that go into it, i.e. how the gas works and the gas relation to temperature and everything, and figuring out your replica and what it likes temperature wise and what gas. But once you get that figured out, these are absolutely as effective as AEGs. I have another video, check it out if you want to, and everything basically about making gas blowback guns effective on the BBWars field, as effective as an AEG, where I go really in depth about loading and building your kit up and trying to run these as effective as an AEG. But I've been having a blast with them. I really have. And I've been seeing them, like I said, they're picking up in popularity. A lot of people are starting to run these now, and there's a lot more for sale, and there's a lot more models and everything. So I hope it's picking up and getting more popular, because it's really fun to just play out and hearing gas blowback go guns, and then hearing bolt locks and everything versus wink. They just sound better. They're more fun. It's more fun to hear stuff like this out there versus just electric motors winding. At least in my opinion. But that's me. I'm a little bit of a gas blowback elitist now. But overall, that's what I've learned this past year in running gas blowbacks. Adapt your playing style, but if you choose to do it, it's a lot of fun. I don't see it as limitations. I see it as just making me a better player. Playing in hard mode. If you play and succeed in hard mode, when you go back to easy mode, if you ever go back to easy mode, it's going to be even easier. Right? Logic would say that. I don't know. I used a video game analogy, but I really suck at video games, which is why I run around in the woods and shoot plastic BBs at people. But overall, yeah, mic digression all over the place. But overall, that's what I've learned about this past year about running gas blowbacks consistently and as my primary style of airsoft replica versus an electric or an HPA gun or anything like that. So your ammo restriction, adapting to having that very low ammo count, reloading when you can. understanding the principles of the gases that you can use. There's so many different gases out there, and understanding the relationship between gases and temperature, and what gas your replica likes, for lack of a better term. Understanding that you have to take care of these, preventable maintenance and everything, cleaning, keeping them well lubed, keeping them well maintained, but in the end they're not going to have a catastrophic failure like an AEG might. So I've learned that. Take care of them, they're going to take care of you. Other than that, enjoy the vibes. I love gas blowback guns. If you guys have any other questions about them, or different models, or anything gas blowback related, leave a comment right there. I'll get back to you when I can. And again, if you're running a gas blowback and you happen to be at the field that I'm at and you recognize me, come over, show me what replica you got, show me how it works and everything like that. I'll probably fondle it because I love them. I want to see them all. I want to see all of you guys too. So again, if you see me, come say hi. Until then, I hope I meet you on the field. But that is what I've learned this past year about running my gas blowbacks. Thank you for watching again and embracing my friggin' mutism over here about gas blowbacks. And until the next one, I'll see you.